Hello again, my friends. This is Bobcast, and we've been talking about organization. We've been talking about how you get your mindset right, how you take those 1,000 thoughts you're going to have every single day, and you boil them down to the few decisions you're going to make that day that will get you what you really want. So in the first Bobcast, we talked about, I called it Bobcast number 1 on organization, on getting things done. Podcast number 1. Watch that if you want to catch up to speed on where we were thinking. Today, now, is going to be Bobcast number 2, Getting Things Done version 2. Well, actually, we're going to go deeper, is what we're going to do. On the surface level, there are a few things you're going to do to make sure they get done. And last time we talked about, number 1, get it really clear on what you want. So you can make sure that in the fork in the road between every decision you're going to make today, one of them is going to take you to where you want, and the other one's going to take you away from what you want. So you have to come back to the fork in the road and ask yourself that question: is this going to take me where I want to go? If so, where is it that I wanted to go? Get clear about that, and then now you've made it. You have to make a decision about it. So I'm going to be teaching you a cycle that I call the success cycle. And it's ultimately going to be one of my books. I've got to be writing it this year. But so I'm going to teach you just roughly, generally speaking, what I call the success cycle. And it starts off with discerning. That's a D word. You're going to discern whether the decision you make is the right decision for you at this time. Sometimes an idea will pop into your head and you'll realize, if I did that idea, it would take me to what I want. Thank you. But then you go, is this the right time? And does this idea fit who I am? Discernment is a skill. One of the reasons that we get overwhelmed, we talked about this last time, is because we're overwhelmed with things that are not going to take us to what we really ultimately want. Number 1, we're not those things that our thoughts are inspired by lots of other people that are around us, and we want to be like this person, we want to be like that person, but ultimately, I don't have his skill, I don't have her character. Really, that's their life, that's not my life. In terms of my life, I got to do what is that fits my strengths and my characteristics and what I'm good at and what I was placed on the planet to do. So in this conversation we're going to have here today, with the word discern, is that what is my life consist of? What are the things that make my life work for me? Because once you discover what your purpose is, that's a really loaded word. And there are a lot of books about purpose out there. So I'm going to be using a slightly different way. But today we're going to be talking about how you make the decision to move forward on an idea that pops into your head or not. And it's part of the decision fork you're going to be making. Does this fit who I am? Does this fit my destiny? Does it fit my talents? Is this? And I'm gonna use the same exact Venn diagram that I've shared with you before. A Venn diagram, for those of you who are listening, is 3 concentric circles interlocking, so that in the middle of the 3 interlocking concentric circles, there is where they all are conjoined at the same place. And that is where you have real great power. So I've been teaching you 3 in this Venn diagram, these 3 concentric circles. I've been teaching you that one of them is system skills, another one is people skills, another one is mindset skills. Now I'm going to take that same Venn diagram, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change the words in the locations of those 3 spots. I'm going to give those 3 circles 3 different names. I'm going to use this as a way of of teaching you so that you kind of can remember. I like the number 3 personally. When I teach, I usually try to teach in 3s or 6s, you know. Generally speaking, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I teach in 7s and 12s, but generally speaking, I like to boil down complicated subjects into 3s because it's easier for somebody to remember them. The larger the number gets, the easier it is to forget, and it's easier for a person to go, I can't remember that. I need to write it down. And then they don't have something to write it down with, and therefore they forget it. 3 is a number that it's fairly easy for you to remember. So, what are we going to put in the spot where it says system? In that spot, and I'm going to say it to you now, and I'm going to draw it for those of you watching on video, but I'm going to say in the bottom right-hand circle, we're going to use the word talent. And the question that goes there in that spot is, what am I good at? Every one of us came into this earth, onto this planet, with skills and with talents and gifts that we came to share with the world. Beethoven, what is his gift? Of course, he was a genius. He worked extremely hard. And he even wrote music when he was deaf. But he was such a genius, he could actually hear the notes in his mind and write them down on a piece of paper. Aren't very many people who could do that. This was his gift. I personally believe that before you and I came to this planet, we knew each other. We lived in a different sphere. We decided we were going to come to this physical sphere. We lived in a spiritual sphere. We came to this physical planet. We showed up on this planet. We came with gifts and talents, period. Of course, this is my opinion, and you may not even believe in a higher power, as I do. I'm your mentor. I'm going to tell you what I believe. You can take whether you like it or not, take it with a grain of salt, as they say. But talent is a gift I think you came with. And you'll watch little babies grow up and children out of the same family. Some of them are good at one thing and some of them are good at another. Some of them are bad at something. Some are bad at others. In other words, there are things that people are just naturally good at. And it just came with the package. It came part of the DNA. And that child just grew into what they were destined to grow into. How do we use that word destiny? Well, I'll get to it in a second. The second interlocking circle in the bottom left-hand corner of these interlocking Venn diagram, where I used to have the word people, I'm going to change that word and we're going to call that word passion. What do you love to do? What are you just interested in? You know, when you go into a bookstore, what area of the bookstore do you naturally gravitate to? When you're looking at a magazine section of, you go into Barnes & Noble and there are, 1,000 magazines there, which magazines do you buy? You're just naturally interested in certain things. It's just part of you. That's just you. There are things when I go to those magazine sections, I see people just devouring certain, magazine sections, and I can't even imagine why anybody is interested in that at all. Because obviously I'm not interested in that. But you'll find me at the same magazine rack, parked right in front of the business section, the entrepreneur section, the author section, the magazines about book writing. Oh yeah, I'm there. And, I'm not in the car section. I don't drive a fancy car. I've had every fancy car you can imagine. After you've driven them all, you go, they all pretty much drive the same. You put your gas on, you put it into gear, you drive around. I don't need to look fancy, special. But some people are absolutely impassioned about cars. They can't even think of anything but the best cars, right? And they can imagine themselves driving them and smelling the leather, and they imagine going to the car rallies. I've never been to a car rally. I will never go. Well, maybe I'll go, maybe one or two car rallies. But these people are passionate about cars. That's a gift. A gift is a passion. It's where you are just naturally so absorbed in it, you can't even think about other things. When I first started my real estate investing career, I went to every seminar, I read every book. I was absolutely absorbed in real estate and financial freedom and becoming a millionaire. It's just who I was. And I say to somebody like, I've always wanted to be a millionaire, and they'll go, yeah, me too. I spoke to an audience last Saturday. There was about 200 people in the room. How many of you have always wanted to be a millionaire? Everybody raises their hands to that because it was a money-oriented audience filled with entrepreneurs. But I could go to another audience and ask the same question. They go, no, I've never thought about being a millionaire. I'm not even interested in money. Why would you be interested in that? It's something that, only rich people have. And I don't like rich people. I don't know why they think. And see what I'm saying? Some people, they just have a natural inclination to think about their passions, their interests, their hobbies. And it's important to them. So these three interlocking circles, the bottom right-hand corner is talents, the bottom left-hand corner is passions, and the top circle is your values. What are values? Things that are important to you. How do you know if something is important to you? Well, you do it. And if it's not important to you, it wasn't important enough to let other things get in the way of it, was it? So back to the fork in the road decision, if it's not important to you, it doesn't get done. And therefore, you can't say to somebody that your health is important to you and then do things that destroy your health. Obviously, you think they're important, but if they're not done, then they're not important. Another decision came in the way and superseded your value. In other words, you valued, and me too, I'm not speaking just to you, I'm saying we value the things we do. So if I say to you that that making money is important to me, that I really want to do it, that means today I'll do something about it if it's important. If it's not important, then any other decision would be more important if I don't do anything. If I decided I wanted to buy a piece of real estate this year, and that was important to me because of my long-term ideal lifestyle that I'm planning, then I better do something about it today. That means television would not supersede it. That means meals, snacks, movies, exercise. These are things that people do on a daily basis. Exercise. Is that important to you? If you don't do it, it's not important. Something else came in the way. Sleep, television, your iPhone, anything else was more important than what you said was important to you. So this discussion about values and things that are important is a really, really deep conversation. It's like yesterday, look at your life. What did you do? Those things were important to you. Because yesterday, you had 1,000 things you could have done, 1,000 little decisions. Obviously, you did do 1,000 things yesterday. A few of those things were really, really important. They were so important to you that you did them. You got them done. Good for you. That's how I know what you value. And if you didn't do it yesterday, I also know you didn't value it. You didn't stay up late to get it done. You didn't get up early to get it done. You didn't skip your lunch to get it done. You see what I'm saying? So these three interlocking concepts are really, really part of the reason that you live, that every breath you take is laying down the record of you. And it's leaving evidence that you were here on this planet. When I look at the fossil record, of a billion years ago, I see that there was a fern or a dinosaur. There's a record that they were alive. And I can look at the record and I can go, man, that's a beautiful fern. It's now extinct. We don't have ferns like that. That's a beautiful dinosaur. It's now extinct. We don't have animals like that. But they existed. What will people notice of the fossil record of your life? What record are you leaving? A million years from now, as they're sifting through the rubble of wherever we all lived, what will be left to let people know that for a brief moment on this beautiful earth, you existed? Now, this is a very maybe too deep of a conversation when we're talking about how to become financially free. A million years from now, that won't matter to you at all. But now it is important to you. It's important to me. And a million years from now, neither one of us are going to care. But what we are going to care about, I think that the three concepts I just shared with you are eternal. I believe, and once again, it's just my opinion, but my belief is that we'll be having these talents forever. These things that are just good, we're good at doing. That our interests, passions, we might have other passions and interests that we add to the list, over our eternity. But while we're here on this planet, there's a way in which we exhibit these interests. And generally speaking, those interests are probably going to interest us for a long time. And the same thing with values. What's important to you? I said in the previous Bobcast, I woke up in the hospital almost dead, and I asked myself the question, was God important to me? The day before, had I read my scriptures? No, I hadn't. Had I read the scriptures the day before that? No, I had not. And of course, I have read the scriptures that are important to me. They're important to me because I read them every day. Period. End of story. And the reason I do is because I woke up in a hospital bed on March the 15th, 2003. And I asked myself that question. I almost died. When I have the conversation with my higher power, I want to be able to say that on the last day of my life, he was important enough that I put him first. Then I can do anything else I want for the rest of the day as long as it fits within my values, right? So I'm asking you that question. Let me write these three words down for those of you who are watching on video, and for those of you who are listening in the podcast. The bottom right-hand corner is the word talent. And the bottom left-hand corner, the left-hand circle, is called passion, and then the top circle is called values. You can tell that my value, or that my talents are not artistic. That's not a talent. You know why it's not a talent? Because it's not important to me. But for some people, writing, drawing, it's important. It's important to them, and therefore they spend a lot of time at it because they're interested in it because it's a value of theirs. So I'm going to ask you on these decisions you're going to make every day, if there are 1,000 decisions to make, and you have to fork them to either do a decision that'll take you to what you really ultimately want, or do a decision that is something else that takes you away from what you really want, or not, or don't do anything, because that's a decision. If you decide not to do something and not to take the fork in either side of the road, either fork in the road, then you've decided not to do it. So there are basically three options you got, right? As you make those decisions, at first consciously, thought pops into your head, go through it consciously. Is this going to take me to what I want? Maybe even before that, thought pops in your head to do something. Is this who I am? Does this action fit my talents, my passions, and my values? Are the three interlocking circles make up my destiny? And so here in the center, where the three circles intersect, is the word destiny. That means purpose. It's what do you plan on, what record do you plan on leaving here on the earth about the fact that you breathed here for a year or two or 100? Your breathing, what record did it lay down? What contribution did you make? How did the world become a better place because you breathed here for a year or two or 100? Whose life was benefited as a result of you showing up here on the planet? Some people don't even think about questions like that because it's not important to them. It's not a value. They go, I don't really care whether people are happy that I'm here or not. I'm here for myself, man. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do it my way, said Sinatra. I'm going to do exactly what I want, when I want, for as long as I want, not having to worry about money. That's the ultimate mantra of the ultimate entrepreneur. I want to do what I want to do. The real question, I think, ultimately is, does doing that, in addition to fulfilling you, so you got what you wanted, did it also at the same time make the world a better place? I think that's the enlightened question. If I get what I want, does the world end up better or worse off? And if you don't enlighten that question, if you just say, I get what I want, that's what I want. 5 years from now, this is my financial freedom. This is what I'm going to buy. This is how my dream spills out. Or is part of your ideal lifestyle in addition to getting what I want, I'm going to give back enough so that I leave a legacy that makes a world a better place while I'm here and when I'm gone. And those kinds of questions, if you're younger, you don't even ask yourself. You just, hey, I want to be a millionaire. This is what I want to do. This is the car I want to drive. This is the house I want to live in. And therefore very selfish at first, very selfish. I certainly was myself. And then ultimately, when you get into your 70s like me, then you go, yeah, I think I got what I wanted. And it was good, but something's missing. There's a sense that there's more I've got to do. There's something I got to give. There's a contribution I've got to make. So these three interlocking circles form what I call your destiny. Who were you born to be? Can you imagine Beethoven being an engineer, building buildings for the king in Austria? I don't think so. That's just not anything that was interesting at all to him. He couldn't wait to get to the piano. He practiced and worked, and therefore he was good. He had talent. Number two, he had passion. Number three, It was so important to him, he couldn't not do it. Therefore, his days were spent doing those things he was sent here on the planet to do. And he laid down the music that we listen to today. Now, I'm not Beethoven, and neither are you. You are you, though, and you have talents, and you have passions, and you have values. And they form the part of the answer to the question of what is the purpose of my life. And your life has what I call primary purpose and secondary purpose. And if you listen to some of the other things I've taught, you might have heard me talk about this before. Primary purpose, frankly, is to learn how to love. I think that's why we show up on this planet, to learn how to love. And we're put into an environment where it's very difficult to love, frankly. And the question is, did you learn that lesson? Because ultimately, I believe part of the life review at the end of this life called our earthly existence is a question, and maybe not taught exactly the specific way I just shared it with you. Did you learn how to love? But it's like, love is everything. Did you get it? Or are you still trying to figure it out? So, and then another part of the primary purpose of life is, what did you learn? Did you learn how to discover what is true and what is not true? Because we live in a world where truth is everywhere and lies are everywhere. It's called fake news, fake life, really. Fake life means seeing the way people live their lives and watching the way they live. In our society, we absorb the way our society lives unconsciously. And you need to finally come to this, the lesson of your life is that the way I want my life to be lived? Is this how my life, rolls out? Or do I want a better or a different life? And how does it fit with my talents, my passions, and my values? And do I have the courage to live that life? Or am I just going to ape monkey see, monkey do? Am I just going to monkey see everybody do what all the monkeys are doing? Or will I choose to live the life I want to live based on who I am? Interesting questions, aren't they? So primary purpose, I think, is to finally learn how to love, and number two, learn how to get inspiration and to get hunches and to finally get ideas and to discover what's true for you and what's not true for you, so that you get to live the life you were destined to live. That's destiny. And therefore, I was born to write. I was born to speak. I was born to teach. This is what I do. Do I like to do that? Yeah, I like to do that. Am I good at it? I think so. People tell me I am. That some of the people who don't like the way I do it, they just don't come back. But the ones who do like the way I do it, they keep showing up. And somehow or other, I say a thing or two that seems to resonate with them, and they keep showing up. So that's what I'm laying down here. The reason I'm spending time even laying down this Bobcast is because this is what I do. And somewhere down the road, somebody's going to stumble across this, and they're going to watch it, and they go, I've never understood purpose. I've never understood the gifts and the talents I have. Robert says in a way that he has learned, and he's now sharing it with me. That makes sense to me. Thank you, Robert, for having kind of figured that out and sharing and teaching it with me. I like that. Good. Thank you. What does this have to do with real estate investing? Because at the fork in the road, is it important to you? Are you passionate about it? Are you good at it? Is it part of your destiny? For me, yeah, it was. And I spent many, many years doing it and decades teaching it because it's important to me. It's just what I do. It's my destiny. I will always be known as the real estate guy, although I'd rather be known as the multiple streams of income guy, or maybe even broader than that, but a teacher of the things that I've figured out, and hopefully that's valuable to you. So anyway, this conversation in this podcast, or Bobcast, I like to call it, is having you decide, making that part of your decision matrix. When you have a decision, or maybe you're inspired or maybe motivated to do something, you ask yourself just before you launch into it, is this fit my purpose in life? Are the things I've decided I want in my life 5 years from now, do those things fit my purpose in life? Does the ideal dream I have for my life, where I live, who I talk to, how I earn money, does it fit who I am? Because if it doesn't fit who you are, it'll be uncomfortable to you, and you probably won't continue with it. But if it does fit who you are, then even though you go through periods of disillusionment and discouragement and ups and downs in life, at the bottom, you won't stop because you're good at it. You love to do it, and it's important to you. And doggone it, it's part of who I am. That's why I live. Therefore, get my head off the pillow, feeling a little sorry for myself, but guess what? I have things to do today. And of the thousands of decisions that will come to me to make today, I've decided that at least 1% of those decisions are going to be about these things, the things I love to do, the things I'm good at, and things that are important to me. I'm going to make sure that other things that are less important don't get in the way of the more important things. I'm just going to make sure I lay down those things every day. I'm going to prove to you, you'll say to yourself, I'm going to prove that if I said it's important, I did it. And the easiest way to get it done is to do it first. As somebody once said, there's always room enough for the things you do first. If you delegate it, or if you push it off, or you procrastinate it, and it doesn't get done, obviously something else is more important. Therefore, this is a way for you to cure your procrastination problem right from the get-go. Just get it done. Check it off. Prove that it's important to you. Do it first. Get it off the list. Then everything else that was less important, you got wide open what you get to do for the rest of the day. Okay? That's our conversation about purpose. And it might be maybe one of the most important lessons you'll ever figure out about your life. It certainly was for me, till I finally figured out, and it took me till in my 50s, frankly, before I finally went, oh, that's why I've been so good at that. Oh, that's why I'm so bad at that. Oh, I get to do the things that I was born to do. Oh. So the four questions are, what are you good at? What do you love to do? What's important to you? What were you born to do? Get it done. You've only got one lifetime to do it. Make sure there's evidence that you were here, and therefore the books that I read and write, the podcasts that I do, the social media I do, the videos I create, the Audible programs, all of that's part of who I am. I'm hopeful that you'll enjoy it. If you don't, go find somebody you do enjoy. who fits who you are. Because there are millions of us doing what we do. Figure out who the mentor is for you and make that happen. And then be a mentor for other people. Go mentor somebody else on the lessons that you're learning. Share with them what your passions are. Share with your talents, your gifts, what your values. You share that with other people. You'll find an audience that'll resonate with you. Then you get to lay down success stories with the students you're going to teach. That's our conversation for today. See you on another Bobcast. Bye-bye, my friends.